You asked for 10 minutes, so here is a 10-minute real-time callus removal video on my right foot. First, I had to get rid of this flap. I don't know how it detached, but it wouldn't peel, and I had to cut it. And here we are. This is start. Before and after, if you will. That's the before. And I wanted to show you what it looked like before I put the callus softener on, because you can see how dry, flaky, and thick the skin is. And after I apply the callus softener, and I will let it sit for 5 minutes, then it comes back looking a lot more hydrated and smooth and not as thick and dry. And I don't think like that would be, this right here would be an accurate representation of like what the skin looked like before. But because I'm using the callus softener, this shave is going to go so smoothly. And in these 10 minutes, you're going to see me do the first half of my foot from the ball all the way down to the heel, and then you'll have to come back for part 2 to see the rest of it. But look at how easily and quickly that skin is coming off compared to the other foot where I showed you what it looks like to do this without the softener, and you have to chip away at the skin a lot more, and it takes longer. Not significantly longer, but longer. So obviously this is just going very quickly. Look at that, easy peasy. And also because I use the softener, I can even do like the edges and the cracks and other things that might require me to use the rasp a little bit if I didn't use the softener at all. Now, the problem with the callus softener, the only problem, which is a good problem to have, is that it works so well to soften the skin deeply so that I can shave it off that I will go too deep if I don't wait long enough, which is another reason that I have been letting my feet go more like 3 months before shaving lately since I discovered the FootLogic's callus softener, because if I try to go in and shave it at like 6 or 8 weeks, like I would typically want to do if I wasn't using it, it's because, I lost my train of thought. Well, anyway, it's because it needs to be thicker. Oh, that's right. Or otherwise I will cut too deep, and I will cut myself, or I will shave it just way too thin, and then my feet are like hypersensitive. It's a very delicate balance to get it just the right depth so that my feet feel like comfortable and glowing and soft like normal feet, as opposed to feeling like reddish and like oversensitive and really, really tender and kind of swollen for like a couple of days, which I have done to myself more times than I can count. And that is just because I didn't have all these tools available to me my whole life, but I do now. Look at that. I'm doing the edge, and that is also something that I don't always do. I have discovered the rasp, and if I'm going to go in and do a shave after only 6 or 8 weeks of growth, the rasp is the perfect tool for the edges, the like giant colossal cheese grater foot file thing. Because it can do a thinner removal, whereas this blade can only go so thin, and you know it goes very, very thin. But when the skin's hard, it's very difficult to get these thin little layers so that I can safely go all the way up to the edge on the sides. But you could, as you saw there, that was like no problem. And once I get the bulk of the skin off, as you guys all know who watch all the time, I can then go back and do all these thin little layers. Just delicately remove anywhere where the skin still feels like thicker and I don't have as much sensitivity. I get the question all the time, how do I know how deep to shave? And that is how I can feel it. And so like as I'm removing this tough outer shell, I still can't actually feel the removal that much. Like I can feel the pressure of the tool against my foot. I can kind of feel the relief of the tightness of the dry skin going away. But then I'll usually go over that spot again and again with the thin little layers. And that's when I really start to be able to feel it. My nerves are exposed to the thinner, more pliable skin. And then I can kind of gauge, like, and you can sort of see it. If you look in the middle of my ball of my foot right here, you can see that it's a little bit more yellowish. So the skin is slightly thicker there than it is like around that spot. And so is the case with my whole foot. So like between visually and what I can actually sense in my foot, I can tell when I've taken off enough or not enough yet. And I'll just keep coming back over and doing the thin little spots, thin little strokes over those spots until they reach the desired thickness. Look how smoothly it is cutting through that skin there. I cannot rave enough about this callus softener. I've also had questions about whether the one that I have is the same as the one you can buy like on Amazon because the bottle looks different. And the answer is yes, it's essentially the exact same product. The difference is that I have a professional spray bottle. So they sell a slightly more potent, but I've been told that it's really not that much more potent version in salons with like an upright sprayer, meaning you have to hold the bottle upright to spray it. They don't sell it that way for home use because they assume you're going to have to be like twisting it sideways or upside down, and so it comes instead in like a continuous spray aerosol type container, but it's basically the same formula. And I was just sent the professional grade one because the gal I talked to at FootLogic said, I mean, it looks like you're basically doing a pedicure to somebody else. So if you can just hold it upright to spray it on your foot, you don't need the continuous spray one. And I think she was right. Although I have had to kind of angle my body a little weirdly to make sure that I can still spray it on. So maybe perhaps when I buy more, eventually I will buy the continuous spray one. But it works for me. Now here, this is one of the toughest spots in my foot where it bends right here. The skin gets super thick and lays over itself, but it's also kind of this awkward like divot because my foot is bending there. And so I have to like really squeeze the shaver in. But with the softener, my foot is flexible enough that I can kind of smash the shaver in there and actually flatten out the skin. And then I can do this really good removal. No problems. Easy peasy. I haven't even come close to maybe cutting myself around here. Whereas with the not CALLUS softener shave, you guys saw me go a little too close in a couple of places. So I'm not trying to sell you this product. I'm just glowing reviewing it because it's so good. It works so well for me in my condition where you come up with all these challenges of the skin being too hard and the foot not being flexible. And it just takes a lot longer. Look how quickly we got through like that whole section of my foot. But the video's not done yet. I'm coming through here and doing like I was talking about earlier, finding the spots where it's still a little yellow or it still feels a little thick and thinning it out. I got to clean up my workspace here. Now, this is another delicate spot that I would typically only rasp because I don't want to shave too deep, and it's so easy to do because the skin is kind of thinner here, but it worked like a charm. I can just breeze through this. So many comments about how do I not cut my skin right here along the edge where I basically am going on normal skin. So I have highlighted that here. It just doesn't cut normal skin. Normal skin is so smooth, you can slide that blade right over it, and you'd have to really try and angle it just right to cut your regular skin. But because this skin is thick and uneven and dry, it will catch on the blade. What a miracle shaver. Other blades and things that I've used that you cannot say the same thing about them, but it's like they've just got the angle just right. And again, this is the Credo brand, not affiliated, but if you're going to branch out and buy one of these, don't buy a knockoff. You'll find that the metal piece on the head of the shaver will pop off all the time. It won't hold the blade very securely. It won't hold it at just the right angle so that you can do delicate edging work like this. I have tried other knockoffs just because I was curious over the years, and none of them beat this original Credo blade. Yes, you're going to spend like $20 to $30 on the tool, but you'll only buy one. I got this one in like 1996, and it's still going strong. So now you know. And this thin little spot in the middle of my foot, I think, is the best testament to the CALLUS softener, because as you guys saw on my other foot and in previous shaves where I didn't use the CALLUS softener, I cannot shave that thin part in the center of the arch of my foot. I will, in fact, just leave it and lotion it, and it'll like look very similar to the rest of the skin, but I won't be able to shave it all the way down because it'll be too thin, and it'll like every time I point my toes, like the arch of my foot will feel achy, like, oh, this skin is so delicate and frail here. But when I use the CALLUS softener, no problem. I can just go right over this whole spot and this whole section in the middle and get it down to smooth, fresh skin just like the rest of my foot. And it's not too thin. It's a miracle. So here I am just kind of smoothing it out, again, finishing that arch up and making it feel really good. And I'm demonstrating here how thin I was able to get it there, which is just really wonderful. It's wonderful. I love it so much. Constantly cleaning out my tool. So here we are. That's a little bit more than halfway through the foot, and you'll have to come back for part 2, which I'll upload as soon as I can to see the rest. Bye.